Should be. Hey! It's Tuesday.
Yay!
My dad used to say that everything important in the world happens on a Tuesday. God bless his soul. And he was right, because today is... Drum roll, everybody. This book is available for sale today on Amazon.co.uk, Amazon.USA, y'all, and Amazon Canada. That wasn't a very
Yay!
That's best I can do as I live here. Let me introduce you to some very important people. In the red corner, coming in at 125 pounds, is the fiery, the most amazing Kim Griffiths. Hello, Kim. Good morning.
Thank you.
Co-author of the book, Gifted. And in the blue corner, weighing in at 85 pounds, but his hair is fantastic and he's ready for the next edition of GQ. It is Mr. Paul Cutter! Woo!
Woohoo!
I'm a little excited today. I don't know why. Let me just
Because today's the day.
Today is the day.
Today's the day.
That you two created something quite magical. In fact, a magical adventure, a magical adventurous journey. And it's called Gifted. And it is available for sale right now. It's quite amazing. So Paul and Kim, thank you for doing what you did, for spending, I don't know how long, maybe 2 years in a journey from a concept, using your imagination, putting it out to the universe, letting it sort of resonate and come back, meeting together, agreeing to work together, writing together, publishing together, and now launching together. How cool is that?
It's amazing.
It's really amazing. It's been a ton of fun, and I can't wait to do it again.
Well, that sounds exciting already.
It is. It is.
So tell me, when you say excited to do it again, what did we do in the first place?
You know, I got an idea for a book and I knew I was going to write it. I made the decision that I was going to write it. And I also knew I needed a collaborator, that I not only did not want to write it alone or do it by myself, that I actually had a need for someone to collaborate with me. So I went looking for that person and presented that challenge in a mastermind group that I was a part of at the time. And Paul was part of that group, and he spoke right up without any hesitation and said, I'll write that book with you. And I just went, okay. And it was done. Just like that.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Isn't that just fantastic?
Pretty cool.
It is very, very cool.
Well, and I thought later, maybe I should have thought about it, but it's a good thing I didn't think about it and that I just responded.
And some people are in our group already, and Barb Cassidy?
Oh, Barb. Hi, Barb.
She says hi. Hey, thank you for joining us. So that is what it's all about. So Paul, we heard all about Kim. Here you are.
Here I am.
You're the collaborator.
Yes. You know, I was thinking about it last night, and I was thinking it's probably a good thing we didn't think about a lot of the things that we did. When Kim and I started writing, we kept saying, okay, we need to figure out how we're going to do this, what we're going to do for all these, the business side of it. And both of us were just like, yeah, we'll worry about that later. We'll worry about that later. And so after the book was written, after we paid publisher, after all that stuff, we're like, okay, let's figure this out. But everything was just so easy. It was just easy, from writing to collaborating. People always ask me, well, didn't you guys have disagreements on what should be in the book? And how did you decide on that? But nothing really sticks out in my mind that we disagreed over. Like, we would express, if we thought, you know, something, we should change something, we would express it. And it obviously, we felt the same way, or it wasn't an issue to give things up or to add things. So it's a very good process.
And I've had the joy of knowing you guys for about 9 months. And if anybody's wondering, like, who is this guy and what's he got to do with anything? Great question. Like, yeah, who is he? But the reality is, I'm the marketing piece of the team, and not just me, but my whole team. And we've had the joy of creating the readgifted.com website, the social media, the email campaigns, the graphics, and later on you'll meet some of our team as they'll join in some of the calls later on today. But yeah, that's who I am. But we do have a very special guest today.
Yes, we do.
And in this book, you will see the cover, you will see the word gifted, and you will see 6 amazing teenagers underneath that have something to do with the book. You'll find out when you read it. But very interestingly, up in this top corner, we have a raven or a blackbird or a something. And I'm going to, by the power of technology, bring somebody into this call who hopefully when he, let's see if I can spotlight him. I think he'll just come in. So, Mr. Balchazar, are you in the room?
Yes, I am.
Oh my goodness.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to you
all around the world, all at once.
Yes, and hello, Jonathan. Hello, Kim. Hello, Paul.
Hello,
Delighted to
Balchazar.
be here.
So good to see you again.
You know, I need a moment. I'm talking to a bird.
Excuse
this?
me. A bird? No, a crow.
Oh, so, I mean, crows, blackbirds, ravens, right?
Steady, Jonathan, steady.
Mr. Crow, do tell me, because, you know, I look at a big blackbird and I think, could be a crow, could be a raven. Is there actually a difference?
Massive difference. In intellect, for example, we crows are known for our intelligence.
Mhm.
Ravens, distant cousins, are much bigger than us. They're scruffier. Their wingspan is 4 feet. Ours is only 1.5. We fly with elegance. We are a Cessna, if you like. They're probably more like a jumbo jet.
Oh, okay, well, I would love to fly in a Cessna. Let's go with this. So, Mr. Balchazar, who obviously can speak to humans, there's a lot of you in this book. You're on the cover. And I truthfully have read the book, so I have a great appreciation and gratitude for the role in which you played in this book. But you kind of a representative of something in this world that, yeah, I mean, really, who are you?
Well, Jonathan, I think it's so difficult to explain in human terms, but I'll try my best. I think perhaps the easiest way is to sort of try and drill down into some of your folklore, different cultural folklore. So, for example, in your Native American folklore, the crow is known for its intelligence.
Oh.
And that's the feature that the American Indians liked most about the crow, so much so that many tribes and clans use it as their mascot. And I mean, I use the Native American story because you are in North America. But if we sort of hark back to the Norse gods, take, for example, in Norse mythology, you have Odin. Odin was the ruler of all the gods, and he is represented by none other than the crow. Now, I have to warn you here that there are some people who say that Odin is represented by the raven, but let me assure you, that is fake news. Totally
fake news.
Yes. Now, just so that whilst I'm in the story, I digress a little bit, but those two, normally it wasn't just one crow, it was a pair of crows. And those two crows were called Hugin and Munin, translated roughly as thought and memory. And they were considered as Odin's spies, bringing him news each night from the land of men.
That is fascinating.
There you have it.
Fascinating. Thank you. Wow. There's a lot more to this gifted book than a lot of people are going to realize until they read it, right?
You know, one of the things that, you know, that Balchazar has pointed out is the difference between a crow and a raven. And we, while we were writing the book, had discussions and did a lot of research and discovered, well, kind of already knew the intelligence of a crow, and the crow was the ideal to be Balchazar. And we are so grateful, Balchazar, for your role in the book and the story, because really, truth be told, you're the main character.
Well, you might be telling the truth more than you realize. Kim, let me just explain. I planted the seeds of these characters in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And you and Paul have done a wonderful job. I'm so proud of you both.
Let's hear for Kim and Paul. Yay!
Thank you. Thank you for a great idea.
You guys are like sitting on Father Christmas's knee in absolute awe of who you're there with. It's quite remarkable to see your faces, to actually meet the real Balchazar in real life on the power of Facebook Live. And Balchazar, I know that you created a Facebook group for people, that you have been sending people emails. You're a very technologically gifted crow. Congratulations.
Well, actually, I've had a lot of help from my friends. I'm not very good at the keyboard.
So I want to know, do you have like a universal translator? It's like, because all I ever hear when I look at a crow is like, ah, ah. But now in the power of Facebook Live, we hear you in English. So I guess you could speak to people in any language.
Well, I'm an exception, but most of my tribe actually can read your subconscious minds. And of that, you are unaware.
Interesting.
How can I explain this? We have vibrations that are different from yours. And so we can see, feel, hear things that you folks can't. And likewise, there's a lot of things that my tribe cannot see or hear what you do. I'm an exception. And that's why I found Kim. Kim and Paul are exceptional human beings. And that's why I selected them for this adventure.
How interesting. Now, I was doing some research of myself last night, and I understand that a group of crows has a very unfortunate name. It's called a murder. I can't say that murder without saying a murder. So
Yes.
nobody wants to be murdered. But my goodness, Balchazar, you know, in the book, you take these 6 characters by the names of James, Peter, and Sydney, Emily, Charlotte, and Katie, on this incredible journey. And at some point, you think things are happening in front of them. It's almost like death-defying. And yet nobody dies. Spoiler alert, you're okay. Nobody dies in the book. It's all good. And I think there's a lot of all good in the book, because in life, you know, it's like a ladder. We all sort of have a challenge. We learn from it. We go to the next rung. We go to the next rung. Sometimes we go down a few rungs, and sometimes we again go back up. And I think that your role is to help us just navigate that ladder of life. But each time we manage the next step, we become stronger and braver and more courageous and more capable of handling the altitude that we have now found ourselves in this new space. Would you say that was fair to say?
Oh, I think that's spot on. Spot on, Jonathan. I think you've just got it. Yes.
By Jove, you've got it.
Joe, you've got it. Absolutely correct. It's true. Fear stops most humans from going forward. And most of these fears are not even real. Now, there are some fears which are real, obviously. You know, trying to jump off the Empire State Building might not be a very smart thing to do, or a brave thing to do. But most fears, if you look at the source, are pure imagination. And they are fears that can be blown away, as you will have evidenced in the book. But I say no more about the book, because I need to keep the mystery there for the reader.
So let's go back to the book. Kim and Paul, take a moment. You've just been in the presence of the universe in many ways. And how nice that he flew in all the way from jolly old England, where he was on an adventure, to join us today. That's terribly fun. So Kim and Paul, I believe that this book is available for sale today.
It is.
And how do people buy it?
Easily. It's on
Show me the money.
It's on Amazon. You can search Gifted. It does come up easier if you put one of our names in with it, Kim Griffith or Paul Cotter, then it comes right up. You can go to our website, readgifted.com, and we've got it set up right on the home page that you can click to buy. And we also have some bonuses. Do we want to talk about those now? If you do that,
I was hoping to talk about that. So yeah, readgifted.com/buy. It's as simple as that. You click the link in your Instagram, in your Twitter, in your Facebook. There's a lovely button that says Shop Now. We will take you there, and it'll give you the chance wherever you're watching. We have 6 people watching live right now, in the United Kingdom, in America, in Canada. Those links are there for you to go straight to your relative Amazon. And hold on a second. If you do, and you send us the tracking number of your receipt, we have something very special. We have, you ready for this? Drum roll. Quiz! Yay! Not just any quiz, because there are 6 characters in this book. These characters have been created with fastidious detail from Kim and Paul's imagination. #imagination, remember that word. And these have become real people. And you've taken tenets of so many people that you've met in life and created these 6 incredible life-type characters. And we'd love to know, which one are you? So Paul and Kim have put all of the tenets that wrote into each one of these 6 characters into a quiz. And we'll send you this when you buy the book. And you can just plug in different scenarios in life. And it'll say, you're Charlotte, or you're Peter, or you're Sydney. And it'll tell you all about who Sydney was, or Charlotte was, or is, I should say. And then you'll think, wow. And then when you're reading the book, you're going to meet all of these characters, go, I would so have done that. That's so me. Oh my gosh, I'm a Sydney. Yes, nerds of the world unite. I'm a Sydney. Or whatever the character might be. So that's how we do it. readgifted.com/buy. And Kim and Paul have got the pulse on the Amazon website today. And we believe that by the end of today, because I know it's coming, this is going to become a best-selling book in its category. I think it's going to become an internationally best-selling book, because we have people in the UK, right across North America, who have waited for this day for way too long. #just saying. And it's all good.
Jonathan, I must interrupt you for one moment. This book is not just going to be an international bestseller. It's going to say to Harry Potter, move over.
I love that, Balchazar.
Wow.
Thank you.
I don't know what Ron Weasley would have to say about that. He might try and step in, but I think you're right. I think you're right. I'm just putting the Gifted link in the Facebook Live. There we go.
Well, while you're doing that, Jonathan, I just pulled up Amazon, and it shows that Gifted right now is number 20 in the mystery category of books.
Congratulations to you.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
That is number 20 already?
Number 20 in science fiction and fantasy, it says it's number 29, and then it has it under mythology as number 48. So it shows our top 3 categories.
That's incredible.
And that's where we're at. So that's amazing.
Wow. I know there's a lot of people been waiting for this book. Seriously, this is not just fiction. This is not just, a good read. This is a must read. Because this crosses 2 genres. It's self-help and it's fiction. Because, even back in biblical times, all of the parables that Jesus told, the ones that everybody remembered were the great stories. And this is a great story with death-defying stuff going all around the world and in different time zones. And it's in, I would say, different eras. It's quite amazing. So congratulations on already scaling the heights of Amazon. So let's go back. So if you buy one copy of the book, you get the quiz. I mean, wow. I mean, I've done the quiz. I'm not going to tell you who I am yet, but we'll save that for another time. But here's the thing, you guys. It's not fair to just keep this book to yourself. Other people need to read this book. So we want to challenge you to bless 4 other people and buy 5. Because if you buy 5, have we got a gift for you? I know, I need a moment. At the beginning of the launch of Read Gifted, Paul and Kim created something called the Imagination Challenge, which is a free gift that you got from the book, which helped you challenge your imagination. And then quite recently, they took us on a 5-day journey, which was to spend 10 minutes a day challenging ourselves through a video series, which is fantastic. Now, the trifecta to the Imagination Challenge is that they have created a massive, and I think you should be selling this, not giving it away, my opinion, Imagination Journal, where there are 37 pages of quotes and ideas and space to write and draw to really help you take this mind and give it some of the capacity that as children we were blessed with, and as adults we decided to suppress. And again, if you just click the link saying buy 5 and you show us the receipt, we're going to send you a direct link to the Imagination Journal. Guys, you're amazing.
Thank you. That's so kind of you to say. Balchazar may want to address the imagination here in a moment, but I think the key is to know that everyone has a wonderful imagination and that we're born with it. We are given it as a gift from God to have this incredible imagination to make up anything in our minds that we want to. And you see that so readily in children. They turn games, make games out of anything that is readily available to him and to them, and they become superheroes with a towel wrapped around their neck, and they become rock stars with pots and pans that create a band, and they draw the most amazing pictures, and it's all developed through the imagination. And as we grow older, we stop using it. And it really is to our detriment that we don't use our imagination. So our goal has been for everyone to kind of spark and reignite the imagination in them, because everything we have on this planet began as an idea in someone's imagination. Everything from the chair you're sitting on to the internet that we're broadcasting through to air travel, the car you drive, the clothes you wear, everything started as an idea in someone's imagination. So it's a really critical part of who we are. Balchazar, do you want to expand on that?
Kim, I'm finding it very difficult. You've said so much of what I would have said. But I would just add, you're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Imagination is the most important thing. In fact, I think one of your tribe, a man called Einstein, said that imagination is more important than knowledge. Mm-hmm. And yet, what do we do at school? We cram children with knowledge, and imagination is completely left forlorn. And as you quite rightly said, progress on this planet is only available through creativity, through imagination, which is applied creativity. So yes, you're absolutely right. Wow.
Now, interesting, Balchazar, you mentioned the word tribe. Now, you might have to go back 60 years or so, but I recall, well, I believe I recall you planting a seed of imagination in a young fellow by the name of Proctor, Bob Proctor. And he's been kind of doing this for quite some time, like almost 60 years now. And that is how Kim and Paul actually came together. And I want to thank you for implanting that imagination into Mr. Proctor and then Ms. Gallagher along the way, because they've created quite a movement.
Absolutely. Bob Proctor is also one of my favorite humans. He was not a likely lad, let me tell you. He started from very humble beginnings with, and a very unlikely lad, but he had imagination and he had drive and desire. And, you know, I did pick him, much as the story in the book. You're absolutely right. And what a wonderful man, has spread the knowledge. I use the word infected in a very positive way. He has infected huge numbers of people. And what a wonderful man.
He has totally taught us how to shift our paradigm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's going to be so much more of this going on in the years ahead. A lot of paradigms are going to be shifted. In fact, our consciousness is changing as we speak. Around the world, look at the upheavals. This is not the end of the world. This is the beginning of a new world, a new paradigm, if you like. So, yes. And Bob has been instrumental in that.
How fantastic.
You're
So
quite
Kim
right,
and Paul,
Jonathan,
you are mentees of Mr. Bob Proctor and Ms. Sandy Gallagher. And I know that you have very generous hearts. Not only have you been very generous in sharing us your wisdom with the book, but throughout today, as we do Facebook Live, you're going to do crazy things like send people books from Bob Proctor, you know, in the mail with a personal handwritten note. I mean, how fun is that going to be? We all love getting stuff in the mail.
Does anybody get mail anymore?
Yes. God bless the postmen. They need their jobs. Postmen and women, post persons, or whatever the politically correct key would be. So Paul, what do you have a favorite book by Bob Proctor at all?
I do. One of the most favorite books of mine by him it's called You Were Born Rich. And the odd thing is, you know, the title has the word rich in it, but the book really, it's not about money, but it's about your thinking and how really you can accomplish anything you want in life by the way you think. And I think that's one of the most important lessons I've learned with studying with Bob, is just how important our thoughts are. And I think that you know, throughout my life, I've been a person who tends to think more positive and think for the better. But as you study and become aware of just what positive thoughts can do for you, it's really interesting to consciously choose to do it and to see what happens. And I mean, a perfect example of that is writing this book. You know, 2 years ago when Kim and I decided we wanted to write a book, I didn't even tell anyone, because it's like, people just think you're crazy, you know, when you say you want to write a book, and what are you going to write a book about, and all that stuff. And so, you know, it's almost like a protection that you don't tell anyone, because you want to protect this dream while it's still fragile and you're developing it. But, you know, the way you think is just so important, and it just makes all the difference in the world. If Kim and I wouldn't have believed and thought that we could do this, then there's no way we'd be here right now today, you know, doing this live and having this launch party, because you have to think it, you have to believe it. And one of my favorite quotes by Bob is that he says, if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. And this is a perfect example of that. 2 years ago, we saw in our minds a book. We didn't have the detail of the cover. We didn't know all the details of everything, but we saw it. And today we are literally holding it in our hands. And it's just an amazing thing. Yeah. Thoughts are very powerful.
And Bob actually wrote the foreword to the book.
Yes.
I loved what he said. He says, over the years, I've accumulated a personal library that contains what I consider to be some of the best books ever written on the subject of the mind, thought, and universal law. Gifted is a wonderful story that incorporates all of these topics well. For over half a century, I've taught people how to use their mind to change their results. Kim Griffith and Paul Cotter are two such individuals. Wow, you guys. And like me, they have seen their lives changed, goals achieved, dreams fulfilled, and it all happens by universal law. He wrote the foreword to your book.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Just awesome, awesome, awesome. Mr. Balchazar, what do you think about that?
Jonathan, I take a step back. First of all, about the forward, that is wonderful. I'm not so sure about the word awesome.
Oh,
Let me explain to you why. Kim and Paul were talking earlier on about collaboration. And in fact, that's kind of thematic in the book. Would you not agree, Kim? Please
Yes.
not. Excellent. So it's about collaboration. But the interesting thing which I'd like to share with your audience is that the word competition, which would be, you would think is the opposite of collaboration. The word competition, when you go to the root of it, comes from the Latin competere, which means to seek together. How far have we come to devalue that word of seeking together to seeking alone? And so I would put it to you that the same way we have abused the word awesome. Awesome means to be in awe. And yet we use it every day. Oh, it's so awesome.
there's a song in the Lego movie, everything is awesome.
There you go. So I hope that's
Wow, thank you. Interesting.
Thank you, Jonathan.
So Kim and Paul, 6 characters, 3 boys, 3 girls at high school, going just through the motions of a day. Let's just talk about these characters. Going through the motions of a day, they're eating lunch, and something happens. Something happens. No spoiler alerts, because people, you guys, you got to read this book. But they end up, I'm going to say, actually, if you go to Amazon.com and you click on Kindle, the e-reader, there's a little book which is a reveal, and it gives you the first chapter for free. So I'm not spoiling, because you could find this out. But they end up in this amazing room in a museum. And on this round table is 6 packages, beautifully gift wrapped, each with their name on it and a tag, which is very cryptic, about what's in the box. What's with this, Kim and Paul?
Well, this is how it all begins. It's how it all begins. Balchazar, for whatever reason, has chosen these 6 characters, and he presents each one of them with a gift. And the gifts are special, the gifts are meaningful, and the gifts coordinate with a certain strength that each character has. And throughout the book, our characters have to learn how to properly use these gifts so they can complete this adventure.
Wow. So one of the gifts, and it's so interesting that I have this in my collection, is a quill. And this is a very special quill, because you're going to geek out. If you're British, you'll geek out. This quill was used in the Lord Mayor's chamber by Her Majesty the Queen. And I was given this as a gift. So this quill has been used by Her Royal Highness Princess Elizabeth II. And it's the old-fashioned writing implement. And one of the characters whose name was Emily was given a quill, Kim. How fascinating is that?
Emily has the gift of memory. And so she receives a quill, and her quill doesn't actually write. But everything that she notes with the quill, she remembers. And the key is that everyone has a perfect memory. it has to be exercised like any other muscle. And there are ways to strengthen it and support it and have a fabulous memory. So you should let go of the idea that you don't have a good memory and take hold of the thought that you have a perfect memory, because you do. You just haven't developed it yet.
My goodness. So, Mr. Paul, there are 5 other gifts. Can you remember them?
Yes, I can. I'll tell you my favorite first. Okay. Well, I guess I have a couple favorites, but one of my favorites is James. He receives a spyglass, like what a pirate uses. Yeah, like a little telescope. And I always throw the word pirate in, and you always do your little pirate sound. So great. But, you know, James has the gift of perception. And so every time he looks specifically through his spyglass, he sees things different from everyone else. And so, you know, it helps them learn about perception and seeing things differently. Sydney, his gift is what it's like a glass ball, and he has the gift of imagination. And every time he imagines something in his mind, it shows up inside this glass ball, and he's able to see it, and he's able to understand and work with his imagination and learn that better. Mm-hmm. And I think
tell me about Charlotte, because
let's let Kim talk about.
Oh yeah, we shouldn't we? Somebody we know has a favorite.
Everybody has a favorite. And being that Balchazar is here, I should probably say that Balchazar is my favorite.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. But I do gravitate to Charlotte. You know, creating all these characters was a lot of fun for me, and there's a little piece of me in every character that we created. And we have spent so much time with them over the years. It's the year or so that we were writing, that they became real people to me. I don't know if they are to Paul, but they're very real people to me, even though they're fictional characters. And I really love Charlotte. She is my favorite. And when I took the quiz and didn't come out as Charlotte, it was a little bit disappointing to me, but that's okay. Charlotte has a very important gift, the gift of will. And that is not to be confused with willpower, because willpower is different than the gift of will. And she receives a gift of keys. Her physical gift is that of keys. And you'll have to read the story to understand why the keys are important. But the gift of will is being able to focus on one thing to the exclusion of everything else. So it's the ability to be laser focused and move forward and take action and not let anything distract you or dissuade you from what it is that you want to do. And that is the gift that Charlotte has, the gift of will.
And from the book, the tag on Charlotte's gift was breakthroughs are made by violating logic.
Yep.
Fascinating. Yep. Guys, you got to read this book. I mean, seriously, there is some good stuff coming out of here. So let me jump back to Mr. Paul. Mr. Balchazar, just hold the line. We have 2 more characters and their gifts. We have
okay.
Peter, and we have, but let's do Peter next.
Peter?
Yes.
Okay, so Peter, poor Peter.
Poor Peter.
Peter felt very left out when he got his gifts. He received a locket, like one that you wear around your neck. And Peter is the manly guy, you know, so for him to receive a locket, he was not too impressed with that. But Peter's gift is the gift of intuition. And when you think about it, your intuition often comes from within. And so it makes sense that a locket that you wear and is kind of close to your heart might be a good gift for that. And And so he learned some good lessons with that. And then who else do we have?
Katie.
Well, first of all, on Peter's tag, it says nothing is impossible.
Yes.
So that's pretty exciting. And of course, that leaves us with, let's see, in the balance of things, it would be Katie.
Yeah. So Katie's the last one.
Did you not like that, in the balance of things? Come on.
It was perfect lead-in. Katie's gift, she received a set of scales. So there's your balance. And Katie struggles with balance with herself internally, and whether she's going to accept something or not accept it, or whether she's going to be positive about something or not be positive. It's kind of a continual struggle with her, whether she's going to buy into what the group is doing or she's going to go off on her own. And these scales are a visual representation of where she is. When her thoughts are out of sorts, then her scales are definitely unbalanced. But when she gets her mind focused and centered and is thinking right, then she's right in balance. And the scales are very, very key to the story and the progression of the story. And by the third chapter, it's very apparent the role that these scales play. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Now, we may have lost Mr. Balchazar. There may be a universal occurrence going on that he has to go rescue, because he kind of does rescue these people.
Happens. Yes.
It's kind of, I'm scared of roller coasters, but I enjoy them. And the roller coaster that I go on the most is the rocking roller coaster at Hollywood Studios, because it's so fast and so fun. But it's also Disney. And it's like, if Disney built a roller coaster, even though it's a little bit scary, it's going to be safe. And I think that's the same with this book, is that there is this universal protection going on around these people that they don't know about at the time. But, from a parental point of view, it's like, it's very comforting. And then when you see the book, because you can only see the big picture looking backwards, it's quite incredible. So way to go, you guys. So some people have already bought the book. And I'm looking, Barb bought it on her Kindle. She's excited. Michelle bought it. In fact, she's bought several copies for her nieces and goddaughter. Michelle, thank you. That is so cool. Paul, can we get an update? Is Amazon that quick to update things? I don't know.
Well, I was just looking at it right now, and it still shows the same numbers, number 20, number 48, and 29. Let me just do a quick refresh here. They told us that sometimes it's not in real time. So
that's what I wanted. Yes.
But they do tend to update their stuff on the hour. Okay. So we'll keep watching it. But that's awesome. Number 20, that's bestseller status. So
already?
We've achieved Amazon bestseller status. So that's incredible.
That is amazing.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. That's exciting.
And I'm just hearing in my ear from Houston that Mr. Balchazar is back.
Okay.
Oh yes. I couldn't possibly leave without saying goodbye.
The crow has landed. Did you just go save the world once again?
No, it was the blasted Wi-Fi.
Bar us about that.
I just want to share something with you about gifts, which I think is fascinating. And Kim and Paul have done such an incredible job with these characters and their gifts. And essentially, we all have gifts. And we only really come alive when we share those gifts. And some of us have different gifts, and we think it's ours. It's not. We've been gifted it. And so we need to share it. And what the audience may not know, and perhaps even Kim and Paul don't know, is that Jonathan has more than one gift. Jonathan can speak Crow. And I invite him to speak with me in Crow. Jonathan, fire away. Don't be embarrassed. Excellent, excellent. Where did you learn that?
Well, remarkably, when I first met Kim and Paul early January, I was in South America. And almost to the minute that we started talking about gifted, everywhere I looked, there was a crow. And I can tell you, and I've sent these pictures to Kim to prove it. I've gone for walks, I'm hiking, I'm driving, and suddenly there's this crow parallel to my car. Everywhere I look, I see you. It's mind-blowing. And the amount of times I have heard, so I don't quite know what you're telling me, but I know that there's a plan for my life and that I am meant for more. And I even have the sign above me that says if we did all the things we were capable of, we would absolutely astound ourselves. And I put it on my wall, and it's staying there now because I've learned so much from reading Gifted and getting this universal law embedded in my imagination, Mr. Balchazar.
Well, I'll tell you something, Jonathan. First of all, talking about you've noticed the crows. We crows were always there. You just didn't notice it. Now imagine what else you're missing out. Again, it's not your fault. It's that you humans have this issue that you can't take in all this bandwidth, as it were. So you have to work within a certain bandwidth. But imagine if you change your perception, what you look at changes.
Interesting.
Would you not say that's true, Paul?
I love that, Balchazar. I was just thinking about what you were saying, and it's so true. Whenever we focus on something, whatever we focus on, we see. So when Jonathan was introduced to us in our book, because you are such a prominent character in the book and you're a crow, he therefore became aware of crows because he was thinking about crows and saw them everywhere. And that's the same with our characters in the book. That's the same with anything in our lives. Whatever we focus on is what we see. And so that's one of the great things I love about what I've learned from Bob is focus on what I want, because then I get what I want and I see what I want. But if you focus on what you don't want, you just start seeing more and more of what you don't want. So I remember when I first started studying this, and I was talking to my wife about it, and I said, okay, here's the way I see this. I said, if maybe it's true, and I focus on what I want, and I get what I want, and I'm happy. And I said, maybe it's not true, but I still focus on what I want and think good thoughts, and I'm happy. I'm like, either way, I win. I look at it as a win-win, and I think that that's just such a powerful statement about our thoughts and what we focus on.
Absolutely right, Paul. Absolutely right. And just one further thing, Jonathan, I just want to commend you on your excellent crow accent. Absolutely wonderful.
So, Balchazar, was what Jonathan said in Crow private, or can you translate?
I think he was essentially, as all people do when they learn a new language, they always pick up the rather sort of more esoteric words. I think to use a coded human language, he told me to foxtrot Oscar.
So in other words, he doesn't know what he's saying.
Probably not.
I know exactly what I
very
was
good
saying, which
accent.
was go to readgifted.com/buy and bless yourself with the gift of imagination building right here. That's what we were saying. Amazing, amazing. So Kim, I want to come back to you.
Okay.
3 girls in this book.
Mm-hmm.
3 boys in this book.
Mm-hmm.
Are we talking romance?
Well, we did not set out to write a romance at all, but there are a couple of Perhaps. I'm not sure how to describe it. There's one character who's very enamored with another. It's not reciprocated. So there is a challenge that comes with that. And there is a bit of personal discovery between two of the characters that may or may not blossom into something more than just a friendship. You know, and we'll just see what happens.
Fascinating.
So can I say something about that? Kim is right. We did not write any romance into the book. We wrote about the character who really liked the other character, but it wasn't reciprocated. But we had the most amazing editor, and Kim and I had never written a book before, and so we were very adamant that we wanted an editor who would not only read our book for grammar, but an editor who would read the book and let us know, is this a good book? Like, does the plot make sense? Is it engaging? Will people follow it? You know? And so they call that developmental editing. And so when we gave the editor the first draft of the manuscript, one of the things that she came back and said was, you have 6 teenagers and you need to have a little more, you know, their hormones are raging and you need to have a little more in there. So we went back and we added things, and I'm totally surprised where it went when we added the stuff. But I think that it added another dimension and another layer to the story. And I think it just really made it a lot more fun to add that.
It did make it more fun, and it will be fun to write it in the sequel.
Yeah, for sure.
In the sequel?
There is a sequel.
Already?
Well, the imagination is swirling with the ideas for the sequel.
My imagination is already like going to the movies to watch this.
I like that.
Yeah.
I can see it. Maybe there'd be a gifted Adventureland right next to Star Wars Land.
There's a great idea.
I will be flying in for the film.
Well, Balchazar, I'm sure that you'll have to consult on that film.
I'm speaking to my agent this afternoon.
Good idea.
Oh my goodness, this is so fun. And, you know, we have so many loyal people sort of on the call. We'd love to sort of, in the chat box, we'd love to know where you're listening from, where you're watching from, where your state is, how you knew Kim and Paul, or how you found out about this. Have you bought the book yet? Loaded question. Because we want to just, status is not what this is about. This is about something that was on the hearts of Kim and Paul to put out into the world. They were universally inspired to help people. Sure, it's going to be a lot of fun because when it gets that best-selling author status, a lot more people are going to find out about the book and buy it. But that's not the reason we're here today. The reason we're here is Kim and Paul had something in their heart that came as a download while they were mentoring under Bob Proctor, and they took his teachings and they took those universal tenets, 6 different tenets, and they put it into a fiction character so more people could understand, so more people could challenge themselves to become better humans or crows. And that's what this is really all about. But we need you to buy the book anyway. Just saying.
You know, I like that you bring that up, Jonathan, because, you know, when you write a book, like Kim and I did not set out to write a novel. We set out to write a nonfiction book to kind of just share some of the knowledge that we had learned that had benefited our lives so much. But as we brainstormed and as we talked about this, it developed into what we have here. And it just, we always felt like this idea was just an idea that was given to us, you know, and that we were blessed with the the opportunity to take this idea, receive this idea, download it, like you said, and run with it. And Kim has a really great experience and story of kind of how that really affected her and what brought this about. And it was kind of shared this week in a post online that's got a lot of traction. And if you know what I'm talking about, Kim, I think it'd be great to maybe share a little bit of that because it's so personal.
I'm not sure I do know what you're talking about.
Just kind of your story and about your daughter and learning the information. And
so I was sitting at a Procter Gallagher event and was swirling in my mind about things. And one of the ideas that came to me was, I wish I had known this information when I was raising my daughter, and I would have raised her very differently. And then the thought occurred to me, but you know it now. And in realizing that I know it now, immediately came the thought, but what do I do with this now? And I got several ideas for books. And while I was at this event, I met a wonderful, dear gentleman whose name is George Jurgen. He is an author himself, has published many books himself, and he encouraged me to write. And so through a series of events, I did write this book, and the underlying motivation for me has always been because of that thought. I wish I had known this when my daughter was younger, because it's so transformational and it's life-changing. So every chapter that we wrote and every chapter that we will write has behind that motivation that we can teach kids how to think now while they're young, as opposed to when they reach adulthood. So that's a very personal thing for me.
I love it. Thank you for sharing it. And you're so right. As parents, as uncles and aunts, as people with fur babies, we all want what's best for the people around us. Mm-hmm. And yes, I can honestly tell people that by reading this book, you will be a better person. And when you read it for the second and third time, and then you do the imagination challenge and the imagination journaling, your life will never be the same again. Mm-mm. I know that for a fact. Mr. Balchazar, you've seen this over the centuries.
I have, and I just have one word for Kim. You can't look back and change the past. That this was your journey. Mm-hmm. And in fact, your journey was to produce this book at this time, mm-hmm. and not 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. So be grateful for your blessed life. And I end it with this.
Wow.
You make a very good point, because 30 years ago, I would not have been the right person to create this book.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness.
So much success to you and Paul.
Thank you.
And I know you will be very, very successful with this book. This has miles to go yet.
Yes. I'm even seeing a city in North America with the initials NY in it, and the hashtag bestseller. I can honestly see that this book is going to change the world in an imagination challenge that is going to blow us away. I mean, I get to work with a lot of talented people, and I get to choose who I work with. And when I first met Kim and Paul, in all honesty, I just got a vibe in my spirit that said, these are great people. This is something else. This is before I read the book, before I knew anything about the book, I just knew these two people were the real deal. And we are super excited to be associated with Read Gifted here at We Make Stuff Happen, and to be entrusted with telling their story through the website, through video. We've made so many videos over the last 6 months. It's been amazing. And now it's time for everybody to come full circle and buy the book. Just in case you haven't yet, readgifted.com/buy. B-U-Y. Why? Because we need you to, because we need you to read the book, because it's going to change your life.
Yeah.
You know, it is a gift.
When we wrote the book, Jonathan, we realized that what we're talking about can be really intense. And so we purposely designed the book so that the book wasn't intense as far as the teachings and things like that. And so first and foremost, it is an adventure. You know, it is a fun adventure that's nonstop. What's going to happen? Are they going to make it? Are they going to escape? You know, all that kind of normal adventure stuff. But the great thing about this book is the way we wrote it and the way Balchazar helped in the book is that you can peel it back layer by layer. And you can get out of the book whatever you want to get out of it. If you want to read the book and just have an adventure, you got it. If you want to take it and focus on some of those lessons with thoughts, with attitude, with accomplishing anything, then that's amazing. And you'll do what resonates with you and what you feel and what will help you in the moment. And I think that that's been, well, for me, that's been the most rewarding thing as people have read the book with advanced copies and in the review process, is to hear that people actually got that stuff out of the book that we wanted people to get out of it. And that, as an author, is extremely rewarding. And that's why we want people to buy the book, because it really is good, and we really do believe it'll make your life better, you know, which most fiction books, you're not going to say that, you know. So it's unique. It's unique for sure.
So there speaks the heart of an uncle to many, and the heart of a mom to a wonderful daughter that Kim has. But, you know, universally, you guys have just given the world a gift today, and I want to thank you for that.
Oh, that's so sweet of you to say. Thank you. Thank you.
It's amazing. My children are looking forward to reading it. They've been wanting to steal it off my desk, going, no, you can't. I need it. I need it for today, but you know, after today, they can read it. So we are on Facebook many times today. We're going to come back around 2 o'clock Pacific time. We're going to come back early evening around 6 p.m. Pacific time again. So that would be 3 o'clock, 7 o'clock Mountain. And we're going to be having giveaways all day long. So if you bought the book on the readgifted.com/buy, you will see a link to just send us your tracking number. And we're going to start sending gifts out by email today. And then Kim and Paul are going to start just from the chat. They're just going to have some fun and go to the mailbox tomorrow and send stuff in the mail. And you don't know what you're going to get. But it could be fun. Hopefully it's not a sock. Like what? But they could become free elves. Who knows? Does anybody really want one of Paul's socks?
Hey, I have nice socks.
I'm sure you do. Oh my goodness, my goodness. This has been fantastic. So we have to say, Mr. Balchazar, thank you so much for joining us.
It's been my pleasure, my honor, and my privilege. Thank you to you, Jonathan. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Paul. And I wish you, from a Crow perspective, much success, much, much larger than the New York Times, which from the Crow perspective is really not that important. I wish you much success in all the schools across your land, where kids will learn how to imagine properly, and they will thank you for this book. I promise you that.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. I must dash now, so as you say in your language, auf Wiedersehen.
Cheerio, old chap.
Cheerio. Balchazar.
Thank you,
Bye.
Balchazar.
Bye.
This has been such a joy to spend time with you, and 9 people have stayed the journey with us. This is just great. So thank you for the 9 who are here. The fellowship of the 9.
There you go.
3 elves, 4 hobbits, 2 men, and an elf. Or a dwarf, right? Oh my goodness, or something like that. Wow. So we're going to come back a bit later on. We're going to follow this through. We're going to keep got his finger on the pulse of Amazon and different categories that this book is popping up in.
Yep.
You know, we just want to help you. We want you to read the book and be inspired, be challenged. I mean, there are hundreds of people right now in Toronto with Bob Proctor learning how to be better coaches. And I know if they just all bought a copy of this book and read it, they would be a better PGI coach.
For sure.
Because you've explained Bob's teachings in a very different way, and I think it is incredible.
It's good stuff.
Yes, I will leave it at that. We're going to come back around 2-ish, and we'll chat again. And I believe we have some other guests. We have the illustrator of the book coming to join us later on, so that's exciting.
Yes.
So everybody, thank you for joining us. readgifted.com/buy is where you need to be. And we'll chat to you again soon.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you.
Bye.